Now, this call that you have made, before now, you've said a lot about Southeast political elite not caring about the release of Nnamdi Kanu. But we saw the other day, yesterday, Honorable Obi Soludo, who raised the issue at the House of Representatives, and what the shouting spree that followed. Now, why do you think that it's been difficult for leaders in the Southeast to speak together in one voice for the release of Nnamdi Kanu?
I can speak to what I know. I cannot speak completely about the culture, but I know that the earliest, since Nnamdi Kanu was brought back to Nigeria, I've been somewhat involved with his lawyers, his legal team. I've attended several of his trials. And as a result, I have an understanding of the fact that there is a difference between what some of the Southeast political leaders are saying in public and what they do in private. On your channel, I granted an interview where I mentioned that I was involved when this regime of Tinubu came to power. Certain conversations relating to the release of Nnamdi Kanu, and they immediately shut it down, saying that if it came out, he would affect their chances of winning in Imo State. Elections were coming up at that time. So if you just oppose that against what then has become, come to know the resumption of the trial, the delays, you understand what I'm saying. It is based on my own knowledge of what I know to be, in some cases, clear sabotage of his release. But you can understand that a lot of the Southeast political leaders will find it difficult to align with someone who says, let's leave Nigeria, when, as a matter of fact...
It's interesting that you are making this call now, because some people have said, oh, he's not a Southeasterner and he's doing this, it speaks to one Nigeria. But what would happen if some of these individuals that you've called upon do not, join you? Would you still go on with the protest march in the spirit of one Nigeria?
The protest will go on with that they join or not. We just published the date of the protest. It is October 20th at 7 a.m. Everybody, we will make announcements as to where people will converge in different parts of Abuja, or anywhere they might find themselves, including people who might want to protest Nigerian embassies abroad. It is a broad decision, it's a broad declaration to achieve an aim. It has no political connotation. The reason why I named some Southeast leaders are because they have said publicly in press statements, in press releases, in their tweets that they want Nnamdi Kanu released. And I just want them to put their their money where their mouth is, to give some kind of veneer of credibility to their cause. So that is the reason why you see I mentioned specifically some people, particularly the governor of Abia State, who is the governor of Nnamdi Kanu, who has been speaking relentlessly that Nnamdi Kanu will come out very soon. Negotiations are on. Governor Soludo of Anambra State, I've heard him speak publicly that he's working to get Nnamdi out. Peter Obi has issued a statement as recently as last year, or maybe this year, asking them to release Nnamdi Kanu.
Okay.
And so I just want everybody who says this is what we want to come out and join us on that day.
All right, comrade, let me stay with you. I understand what you are trying to do, solidarity as an activist for a friend, for a Nigerian, a fellow citizen like you. But I want us to examine a bit, how this case has progressed. At a point, people were looking for, a political solution to all of this. And certain group of people like IPOB insisted, no, let's go to court. Because at that point, they were very sure that, look, that this terrorism trial was not going to go anywhere. So at this point, the court process is in progress. He's undergoing trial. Don't you think that this protest will be some kind of confrontational before the establishment when they said, look, let's look for a political solution, and people said, let's go to court? Don't you think that this protest will likely or might just complicate Nnamdi Kanu'S case in terms of seeking for, another track to get him out of detention?
No, I don't understand where you got the impression from that Kanu said, let's go to court. No, it is the Nigerian government that dragged Kanu to court. In fact, his current trial came as a result of an abduction from Kenya. He was kidnapped from Kenya, flown to Nigeria under some of the most secretive circumstances. Nobody can still tell you how he got to Nigeria today. They put a hood over his head and brought him to court. That I don't understand to mean that let's go to court. If that's let's go to court, I don't think that's what I understand to mean by let's go to court. Maybe you are referring to his first time around when he was arrested and tried, granted bail, and they went to his house, killed people, and he escaped from Nigeria. And they went outside of Nigeria to bring him back. I don't know how that would mean let's go to court. With regards to his chances of getting fair trial, you can't get a fair trial when the process of arraignment or the legal processes are not fair. In fact, the trial was going to be impossible under normal circumstances if somebody is extraordinarily renditioned from another country that is kidnapped. There's no basis for trial. Before you can bring somebody before trial, there's a process for getting them to come. And it includes that the country from where, in case you go outside of the country, there was a record that the person was arrested and extradited to Nigeria. This one is called extraordinary rendition. So I don't understand where this impression came from that he submitted to trial and hope that he will win. How can somebody go to Nigeria court and hope that he will win when everything is arrayed against you?
Okay. I think I'm very certain that at a point, IPOB said, let's go and trash out all of this in court. Now, my question is this. What you are trying to do, in all honesty, you want to see a Nigerian like you get freedom, especially when a court has also said that you have no locus standi to try him and all of that. But my position is this. My question is, if you understand how politics plays out in Nigeria, don't you think that the march to Aso Rock will be some kind of confrontation, like I asked before, against the establishment? And how do you think that they will react to all of this?
We have made it very clear that this is a peaceful march.
Okay.
Do they see it as confrontation? Of course, that's always how they react to every effort by Nigerians or citizens of Nigeria to solve their problem using legitimate, legal, and non-violent methods. As a matter of fact, in Nigeria's history, it is people who use violence that get the most result. But this is not what we're interested in. We're not going to change strategy because they can't think. So nothing, in my view, is going to stop us. Nothing, in my view, is tantamount to confrontation. We have made it public that is what we're going to do. We're inviting people from across the country, possibly across the world, to engage in this march.
Now,
and I'm sure they understand.
That, and it was established that, some persons in Nigeria also of the opinion that a protest, though, is legalized, but they are trying to make sure that it will not be infiltrated by some elements whom we don't really know. We saw that happen during the 1st August to August 10, hashtag End Bad Governance protest. People were being arrested and all that. Do you think that looking at what happened or the aftermath of that particular hashtag End Bad Governance move or protest that happened, we have the Abuja 11 incarceration and all that. Do you think Nigerians are going to come out at this point in time to support you and other persons whom you've called upon to say, let's march for this man's release? Remember that the federal government also take him to court for treason, plans to upturn the government.
You don't have to worry about what their reaction will be. I think our focus should be what we plan to do on that day. Interestingly, this part of Abuja where this protest will take place is one of the most secured part of the country. I don't think anywhere is more secure than the Aso Rock Villa. So the security of the city, of the protesters, is the duty of those in government. So I don't believe in this narrative that the protests will be hijacked, but of course, they might use that as an excuse, which they always do.
You know what?
And they know those of us who are protesting. You know, I recently protested at the police headquarters, you know, in Abuja, leading retired policemen and some kind of, you know, serving policemen, and nothing happened. So if they want to frame the narrative as something that will be hijacked, we'll just tell them, just do your job, which is to ensure that the area is secure. There's a protest. They understand the meaning of protest, and we also understand the meaning of protest. Now, we've made it very clear. We have announced the dates. They have enough information as what needs to be done. We have also invited state governors, members of the National Assembly, who themselves have personal security from the state anyway. So I don't think the narrative should be distracted by security at this point. I think we should focus on the main issues.
Reach out to the state, the police. I'm talking about, you know, them giving you personnel for such move to happen.
You know, like before,
we know that is also one of the requirements for protest.
Unlike before, the police used to be that you have to apply to the police to protest, but the law is very clear that the police only need to be aware of the protest to take proactive action. So I'm sure, just as we are speaking, the police has already notified itself, or it's been notified publicly that there will be a protest on that day. I can guarantee you, I know the police very well, I know the DSS. I'm sure all of them are already aware. I'm sure they're planning, and that's good news.
Now, wouldn't this be seen as preempting the court, since this particular case is already in court, like my colleague rightly asked earlier? Now, you're going on to say want to protest his release, want Nnamdi Kanu to be released and all that. Isn't that a way, or maybe be perceived as preempting the court? And, you know, we know what's legal or implication of that particular move.
I think this is going to help decongest the court of Nigeria. This is one of the cases that the courts needed not have on their calendar or on their course list. As you can imagine, each time Nnamdi Kanu is taken to court, the DSS have to seal up everywhere. They have to do everything they can to ensure that there's no movement of persons. We hear that they used to spend over 500 million naira per day just to take Kanu to court and back to his place of illegal and unwarranted detention. So this is going to help decongest our courts. The courts need to focus on more serious cases and not cases that have no business being in court in the first place.
Interesting, you talked about decongesting our courts, and some people are also concerned about decongesting our prisons. And
yes,
talking about, my colleague mentioned the Abuja 11. Their issue came up very recently. This is from the hashtag End Bad Governance protest of 2024, and they are still being tried in court at this time. 1 year over 1 year that, you know, they have been arrested for wanting to topple the government. That was the allegation leveled against them. I know you have your ears to the ground, and you know that some Nigerians are beginning to feel really livid about protests, because they've seen that some can be arraigned, children can be arraigned, some can be kept in detention for years with nobody to speak for them. And if you go to the street, some Nigerians have said, look, Nigerians don't have staying power to, you know, force government by way of protest to get what they want. What do you say to that?
Well, I'll speak directly to the 11 persons who are still undergoing trial for end bad governance. Their trial is actually coming up again today. And we made a strong representation to the Attorney General's office to discontinue the trial. And we hope that they will discontinue today. What has kept the trial on the calendar of the court is some road police officers in the legal department of the Nigeria Police Force. I think somehow they also benefit from all these very useless cases. I think they get some kind of allowance, but we reported this again a few days ago, and they are supposed to be in court as we speak. My understanding is that the case will be discontinued today. But let me address the staying power of Nigerians, because I'm glad you mentioned Edinburgh Governor's protests today, and that was, I think, over a year ago. But you mentioned staying power, and you forgot that Edinburgh Governor's protest lasted for 10 days across the country, one of the biggest in the history of this country. So I think the problem is not staying power. I think the problem is the unity of purpose. That maybe if more Nigerians can just decide once and for all that I want to solve these problems, we don't allow people to create division, and introduce diversionary tactics and narratives to divide us, because our unity is what is missing from our resistance, and that is what Edinburgh governance was about, and that was why it was effective, and it really hurt the ruling class, because for the first time they saw North, South, everybody united, and it used to be like, oh, during NSAS, almost the entire North didn't participate, So, but that was also a very powerful protest that had staying power. And NSAS will be how many years this year? Maybe like 5 years. Okay. Anniversary is coming up. Okay. Which coincidentally is going to be the day of this protest, by the way, beautiful. Before people start saying, oh, why did you choose NSAS as a date of protest for Nnamdi Kanu? You will get the narrative very soon that, oh, maybe this was planned. Okay. No, there is no day in the calendar of human beings that you cannot fight for justice. Okay, so if NSAS is a day we do this for Nnamdi Kanu, and we do NSAS memorial or remembrance, it's all good. Well, it's all about justice.
Some form of more like a coincidence.
It was a coincidence, because we were all looking for a Monday. Okay. Because we, as people who do this all the time, we like Mondays, because that's the day everybody is fresh, energetic.
Fresh in the week.
And it's the most important official day of the week. So we're looking for a Monday. And it turns out to be NSAS. And we said maybe there's something to it, So we chose that date.
Very, very fortunate for the Alota community. Now, come on.
Yes. This is not an Alota community fight. This is everybody's of good conscience. Okay. Yes, it's everybody's fight.
I want us to talk about the people that you have reached out to, especially when you talk about the political leaders in the Southeast, the elites and all of that. I'm sure that you called on Obi Soludo, to be part of the march, Do you recall at some point that Obi Soludo said, the release of Nnamdi Kanu is not alone on this. A couple of Igbo people, especially the intelligentsia, people in government, as a matter of fact, have this opinion that the release of Nnamdi Kanu will not necessarily guarantee peace in the Southeast. Did you factor in that, did you contextualize it when you were sending out invitation to people to come and join? Because we hear that some people go to Aso Rock in the day and say, please, let this man go, release him to us. We guarantee that there will be peace in the Southeast. And at night, they go back and say, please, keep this man. Don't let him come out, because if he comes out, there might be crisis in the Southeast. Did you put all of that into consideration before reaching out to the elites in the Southeast?
I'm dealing with people who come out during the daytime to say release Nnamdi Kanu. I've had conversation before with Soludo. Okay. About Kanu, and he said his work. I'm talking about maybe 2 years ago. I've spoken to Alex Otti of Abia State personally, because Alex Otti used to be someone I know. He used to be a columnist at Sahara Reporters.
Excuse me, comrade. I hate to butt in at this point, but please permit me to do that. What I mean is that the same people that go in the day also sneak in at night. That's what we hear.
So that's the essence of calling them now to put their money where their mouth is. Are you getting my point?
Okay.
I'm just using an idiom before somebody to say it and say that she raised. I'm saying, if you have publicly stated that you want Nnamdi Kanu released, this is the time for you to come out and put your feet or your boots on the ground. So those who don't come out, I'm not second-guessing that that's the reason, but those who will be silent at this time, we can assume that they are probably the people who go back at night to say don't release him. But those who are going to come out or those who are going to support, we assume that they want this to end. We want the detention of Nnamdi Kanu, which would have lasted for 10 years by October 14, by the way. It would have been 10 years since they've been detaining Kanu for the same reason, including his repatriation or rendition from Kenya. So what I'm trying to say is that I don't have a crystal ball to know who goes back at night. I'm not the Aso Rock gatekeeper, but I know, and I know you're right, some people who just come out and say for political convenience, maybe for personal safety too, for political gains. I am not one of those people. I am just calling on people who I know have stated either publicly or directly, personally to me, that they want this to end. And I have to tell you that I'm surprised that there's been radio silence from some of them since yesterday. But I've spoken to Abaribe, who said, yes, we've spoken to Agocha, the honorable who is from Nnamdi Kanu'S constituency, representing him in Abuja. I said he's in on that. I've spoken to the deputy speaker to Abia State House of Assembly, who initially they had a resolution saying they want to come and march in Abuja. When I contacted them, they said they are still going to London first. When they come back, they weren't anticipating that this was going to be a placard carrying protest. They just want to visit the Attorney General. But Abaribe said they have visited the Attorney General. The entire Southeast Caucus in the National Assembly have visited the Attorney General before. They visited the NSA before. So there's no need to go back there. Let's have a unified position, march on Aso Rock peacefully, loudly. Let everybody start mobilizing for that now.
All right.
And to avoid what the security agencies might call confrontation, they can release Nnamdi Kanu before that date. And we'll just go about our normal businesses. And the business of that day, otherwise, will be NSA's remembrance or memorial.
You've been so quite vocal in Nigeria. The other time you promised to make Nigeria work again. You've also held so many, town hall meetings from 2012, even in New York, talking about how things you're going to do to make Nigeria move forward and all that. You also urge people who are clamoring for, self-determination and agitators to reconsider their path, saying that you have so many things you want to bring on the table for Nigeria to be a great nation again. Nnamdi Kanu, we know, happened to be within the confines of, or rather within the Nigerian correctional facility today, or DSS, because of the fact that he is talking about the marginalization being faced by the Southeastern people. That actually can be taken back to history, to the Biafran War of 1967 to 1970. And you find out that such ideology, such movement have turned out to be an ideology at this point in time. And what are the things you think you can do to maybe find a way to ameliorate or reduce what the Southeasterners are talking or facing, even with the present administration? How do you intend to make Nigeria move forward with the likes of the Asaba people talking about Nigeria owing them apology for the 1967 massacre and other persons, having one or two things or grudges that they bear against the country?
You see, we can do all of this with great leadership. It turns out that of all the people who want to make Nigeria great again, as they say, I'm just referring to what he said. I'm the only one who has met Nnamdi Kanu one-on-one to discuss what this is all about. I cannot completely speak to that here, but our agreement was that if we can make Nigeria be just, fair, and egalitarian, that people will find accommodation within Nigeria, but you cannot force Nigerians or people who don't want to be in Nigeria to be in it by killing them. You can't do so. You can't force anybody by proselytization. You can't force anybody by indoctrination. It has never worked. What has worked in every country where there's diverse groups of people who are united is justice, social, economic, and cultural justice. Right. That is why when we, Nigerians, travel to other countries and live there, we don't ask, is this Igbo or Hausa or Yoruba? The moment we get our paycheck, the moment we have housing, we can send our children to school, we just assimilate immediately. So you have to have certain parameters and conditions in place for Nigeria to be able to become or be a united
How
entity.
possible do you think that will be when you yourself said something about Nigeria having an Igbo problem? You made mention of that in one of the podcasts you attended. You said that Nigeria
Can you repeat what I said again?
How possible do you think that will be when you yourself said something about Nigeria having an Igbo problem?
Yes. No, that's part of the honesty that needs to deal with what you are asking. You see, if you want a united Nigeria, you have to deal with every part of Nigeria that don't feel belonged. You mentioned earlier that people of Asaba want apology. It's not only people of Asaba, all the Igbos needs to be apologized to for the civil war and the number of people we wasted, either directly killing them or killing them with hunger and starvation or economic strangulation. We need to do that to all across the country. But
right.
There's a difference between just making the apology and also making sure that the apology stick. Because the people you're apologizing to must know that you have genuine intention to make your apology stick. If it's just an apology you want to be announcing on TV in the morning and in the afternoon you go and do Operation Python dance, you don't expect people to be foolish enough to keep listening to those kind of apology. You cannot militarize an entire zone in a country instead of giving them infrastructure. And you expect them to belong to your country. It has never worked like that. And that is where everybody in Nigeria, in terms of leadership, is getting it wrong. You want Igbos to build a project, but you go and hold their children ransom. You go and kill their children. You put an army checkpoint every 1 kilometer in the southeast. They ask for resources. They ask for promotion in the civil service. You don't give them. You don't trust them. You can't. So this is where we get it wrong. And this is the hard conversation I was telling you needed to be had. And that is why I said Nigeria has an Igbo problem.
All right, you've indeed made a valid point, but we're running out of time. There's a lot to expand, but we have to work within the limited time available. Are you aware that some Igbos in Lagos have been complaining that they're not allowed to register for their PVCs, especially when their names show that they are Igbos? Some complaints have come up. When they go, they tell them, internet is down or something. That's on one side. Another would be, do you believe that it is only a coalition or a merger that can unseat the current APC government? Would you be part of one?
I think we've spoken about this several times, that there's already a coalition that I belong to. And that coalition is a coalition of the oppressed. It doesn't need any official merger of political interest. I cannot belong to or believe or be part of a coalition of politicians who created the problem in the first place. All right? One of the examples I can give you straight is the ADC people that were being celebrated now. People don't talk to them or talk about them. Who has an attorney general who went and abducted Kanu from Kenya? You want me to be part of that coalition?
All right then. Well, thank you very much, Omoyele Sowore. Thank you for being part of the program. We appreciate your contribution.
Thank you.
Well, let's bring it to the studio now. We still have Dele Fanimo. Quickly, let's touch on this. What do you make of this call that Omoyele Sowore has made. What do you make of it, calling for individuals and interested groups, Nigerians, to basically come out and march? Your thoughts?
Basically, what he has said is right and in line with my thought, but unfortunately, it came too late in the day. It's no longer actionable.
Okay.
Because if Sowore had done this last year, before the case started, it would have been very good. But now you have given the government the escape route to say they cannot stall the process of prosecution. And as such, what they will tell you is we have to wait for the outcome of the proceeding in the court. And it's quite unfortunate because for me, I keep saying it and I've said it several times, even beyond the television and all that personally, I want, as a matter of fact, I never knew that he would still be here. We will still be talking about his incarceration today. Because the way I was looking at it at that time, with the coming in of Bianca Ojukwu and the rest of them, I thought it was going to be a fait accompli. But unfortunately, here we are, and it's been adjournment upon adjournment. I was discussing with my friend this morning when I looked at his appearance on video. I said, this man is obviously not a happy person anymore. He's just trying to play the way Mandela was playing to the emotion of the people of South Africa. When Mandela was released, and a journalist, I think from BBC or I can't remember the stable, asked him, I said, was there any time you were afraid of for your life? He said several times. He said each time he appears in court and is being taken back to prison, he feels dejected that it may just be the last opportunity of seeing the outside world. And that, but each time he looks back and see expression of hope in South Africans, particularly the blacks, that he will raise his clenched fist and smile. But it doesn't distract from the fact that he's not comfortable where he is. Only Nnamdi Kanu would know how he feels.
How he truly feels.
You know, to be incarcerated, not seeing your children, not seeing your wife, not seeing your immediate family, not even your extended family in the last 4 or 5 years. Only Nnamdi can feel it.
All right, then.
And so that is the more reason why we should find a way. There could be still be political solution, but not grandstanding.
All right, then. Well, Tokwe, good to have you.
Thank
Now,
you.
are you still a member of AA, Action Alliance?
Not fully a member. I'm on recess.
Pardon?
I'm on recess. And
You're on
I'm
recess?
looking at charting a better path for myself.
Because I understand that you guys have a case in court.
that has been far before 2023 elections.
No, the fact that the new NEC have not been, their names have not appeared.
We have two NEC.
You have two NEC.
So
Omaje
NEC and the Kenneth NEC. So Kenneth has, we actually got involved in AA stuff through Omaje.
What do you mean AA stuff?
AA political party, we were not part of them before.
Oh, okay.
We actually went there to...
So you needed a platform?
Yes, because we, as a Lagosian, we believe that we have to go against the establishment to establish so many things that were wrong, and it was a platform for us to express how governance, good governance can be established. And I can say, yes, we achieved a whole lot through such strategy, because the government eventually had to be forced to do some things. And since then, we have been giving them anything we have from my think tank as what to do. And they have been doing better than how they did in their first.
But now you're tired. You want to leave them?
No, actually, AA would have been the best of the platforms for us to continue to express ourselves. But when they factionalized the party, I almost lost my ticket, because We came through Omaje. He was recognized INEC chairman. The chairman of AHA by INEC. Then through a court process, we just learned that there is one person that has gone to court and won, and INEC expunged Omaje's names, and so we had to reroute and renegotiate again.